Hello, and welcome to the We're Not Stumped podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bolland, and I'm a congenital amputee of the right hand. In this show, I will interview other amputees and allow them to tell you their incredible life stories. I'll also feature family members of amputees and others who support the amputee community, all in an effort to discuss the challenges and triumphs of those living with limb loss. So stick around and listen to inspirational stories and find out why we say, We're Not Stumped. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the We're Not Stumped podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bolland. And today, behind the scenes of where I usually record this episode on Zoom, we are recording with Carrie Bono today. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you coming all the way to Arizona from Utah to be on the We're Not Stumped podcast.
Well, we thank you for having us. I mean, this was super important for us to come all the way out here because I wanted people to see that, you know, we're willing to take that extra mile and do that extra just to make sure that that message that we're trying to spread is getting out there for people that need to hear it.
And I know you're doing a lot when it comes to that, but let's start with your own words. I mean, we talk about your life. You can start all the way from when you were born or when your own amputee journey started, whatever you'd like, but I'd like to learn more about you and your story.
Thank you. I've always been this type of person that has always put myself out there, been outspoken, spoke for the other person, the underdog, that's somebody that can't, you know, has a difficult time navigating themselves through their own lives. And so I always try to mentor young people. I just try to do those types of things and just be that leader, that type of person. So when it came to this that I'm dealing with, it was just a very natural progression for me to be able to get out and speak and, you know,
be the leader that you are.
Exactly. So my story, my real story, starts probably, I would say, about 8 years ago. Before that, I don't think I really had a path, but it wasn't this path. Sure. It wasn't this path that God has set me on. Mm-hmm. I can't remember exactly how long ago it was. It was like 8 to 9 years ago. I had a really horrific mountain bike accident.
Oh, wow.
It was really exciting. So Metallica, we were actually supposed to go see Metallica that night. And we were super excited because it was the first time that they had gone out and they were touring again. So we decided to go for a mountain bike, just a little mountain bike trolley around. We had lived in California at the time and we lived by Calaveras. And so there's a lot of mountain bike trails there. So we're heading home and I'm on this plastic composite bridge. Church had just got let out. And there was a church up the street where we were out mountain bike riding. And a lot of the churchgoers would come over and they would go hiking afterwards. So I'm on this bridge. These people are on this bridge coming towards me. So to be very respectful of them, I slowed down. I moved over to the side and a couple of them just kind of like freaked out. They thought I was going to hit them. So to make them feel more secure, I put my foot down. Went over the side. Well, this bridge that we had, it had no upper rails. It only had a lower rail. It was about this high. And my little Tootsie just fit right underneath that rail perfectly. And I went over and it was a 4-foot drop.
Oh, so, and was your foot then stuck and you went over? Oh boy.
Yes. Wow. So my foot stayed on the bridge. I went over and I screamed for my husband. He's ahead of me. And I scream for him and I say, Mike, I need you. And he comes over and he says, oh, honey, you're fine. You didn't break your leg. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, I've already seen it. And it was a double compound fracture.
Oh boy.
It was, I had bone, everything just everywhere.
Oh boy.
Wow. So it is it's a very intense story of what had happened. I won't tell everything because it's a very long story, but okay, so I'll get to the good parts. When I had fallen off the bridge, I actually had fallen into poison oak. Here's the interesting thing. Okay, so nobody got poison oak. Nobody had a problem with it. And I was laying in it.
Oh, wow.
This Again, when I say that this was an act of God, everything to this point has led that way. If I had fallen a second earlier, there was a branch that was like this that my head would have gone into, and I would have been decapitated. If I'd fallen a second later, like a millimeter of a second, there was a branch coming straight through that would have impaled me. Where I fell was where I was supposed to fall. So we get the ambulance out there. We finally get the paramedics out there, and they get, they give me some morphine. They put an air cast on me. And I get on the bridge, get back on the bridge. They sent out an ATV there, and that's a huge story too. And there's so much of it. It's hard sometimes to keep track of everything. Fast forward. I end up in the hospital. We have a surgeon that's there that he is, I'm going to try to fix your wife's leg. He tells my husband, I'm going to try to fix it. But if there's anything going on there, he's like, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to amputate the leg. I'm going to take the leg, but I'm going to try to save it. He is able to get an external fixator on it. He's able to put all the bones back together because we were so lucky. We actually had a hand doctor that was there at the time.
Wow.
So we get the external fixator on there. I'm in that hospital for a week. Then they send me up to USD. I end up getting a USC, excuse me. I end up getting an amazing surgeon up there. She actually was the head orthopedic surgeon. She was the athletic orthopedic surgeon. So she had placed, it was 3 plates, 12 screws, and a chain that actually connected everything. 6 weeks after I had the surgery, I was walking. I was in a walking cast. I was doing great. It was the week of Thanksgiving, and I had had a normal physical therapist that I had seen. No big deal. He was leaving for Thanksgiving, so he put me in with his mentor. His mentor didn't read any of the notes, nothing. He just did what he felt was right. And he broke my bone. He broke my leg again. He broke the bone below the plate. And so, and because I had had so much nerve damage, I didn't know. I couldn't feel it. I could see that my leg just looked funny, but I thought it was just how I was healing. I wasn't sure. So we go to the doctor for a follow-up, and she looks at me and she starts crying, and she goes, I'm so sorry, Carrie, your leg is broken. It's broken. So they went in, and they had to take everything out. I'm in the hospital another week. They had to go through and they had to fuse everything. So for the last 8 or 9 years, I would still go out and do things, but I was in literally pain every second of my life. I don't think I had a day that I could say I didn't hurt.
Wow.
It was 24/7. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't healthy. It was really difficult with me, but I never complained. I just sucked it up and said, you know what? Because I'm a veteran. I'm a Navy veteran. And so I have that mentality that, you just take some ibuprofen, you just move on. Pain makes you stronger. And so again, one more fast forward. So here we are 9 years later. And my daughter, she's turning 31 in October. And we decide, all of us, because we have 2 little grandbabies, decide that we're going to go to Disneyland. And we go to Disneyland for 2 days. Disneyland sucked for me. It hurt because I was just in constant pain.
Yeah.
We get home and I look at my husband and I said, babe, my foot really hurts and it's really red. And he's like, you know what? It's probably just a little, just because we walked for the last 2 days. Just give yourself a break, lay down, elevate your foot, and then we'll go from there. About a day later, I'm like, this isn't getting any better. And I'm massaging my foot, trying to get the pain to go away. And I feel a pop in my foot. And we rushed to the emergency room and found out that I had a bone infection. And we don't know when the bone infection started. We don't know how it started. I mean, I work for a living. I work 6 to 7 days a week. Yeah. We don't know. So I ended up having this bone infection. And so the podiatrist comes in and he looks at me and he says, all right, Carrie, so, you have an infection in here, and we're going to take your big toe, we're going to take your knuckle, and we're going to leave you with an open wound for a year or more.
Really?
And I just started bawling, and I looked at him and I said, but what about me? I go, what about the pain that I'm in every single day of my life? I live pain. And he goes, you're in pain? And I said, yes. And he goes, what would you like? And I said, take my leg, please. Wow. I want it gone. I'm only 50 years old. I have so much more of my life to live. And so they bring in an orthopedic surgeon. And the guy looks at me, and it was the Dr. O'Brien was amazing in Utah. He says, Carrie, you know what? There's some people that ask for this. And I look at them and say, you know what? Your quality of life is not going to be any better. You're not going to feel any better. And he goes, and I have people like you, where I know that if I do this, you're going to have an amazing life. And you're going to have a fulfillment of your life. And so he took my leg. And I also found out during that time that because of bone infection, I was seriously ill, and I didn't know.
Wow.
They said if I had not had this happen, I would have been dead within a year.
Oh, wow.
So now my life has completely changed.
Yeah.
I have a life. I can walk. Yeah. I can live a day without pain. I mean, yeah, I do have phantom pains, just like everybody else does. But it's not crippling. I can enjoy myself. I can enjoy my grandchildren. I can enjoy my husband. I can enjoy my dogs. I enjoy my work. I have a life. And I don't need a leg to have that.
So you were going around with about 8-9 years with a leg that was, they had it in one position, am I correct?
Yes.
With a lot of pain.
It was this.
Yeah. So now, how long has it been? I want to make sure that we establish that.
November 9th.
Of last year. So
yes,
we're talking
November 9th of 2023 was
wow.
when they finally decided to take the surgery and take my leg from me.
And it's been a new lease on life for you.
Oh my God. I didn't realize how sick I was. And it was messing with me mentally. Yeah. Like I never knew, like with bone infections, like what they do to you. Yeah. I didn't have that leadership. Yeah. I didn't have that brain to think. I was second guessing myself. I was questioning myself all the time. It affected my marriage. It affected me. It affected everything about me. And I can actually smile and say, I feel good.
You could even make a trip down to Arizona from Utah, which
yes.
I very much appreciate. You know that. And
yes.
so thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So what have you learned through this whole experience?
I have learned many things. I have learned stand up for yourself. Don't let other people make choices for you. You make your choices. You're the person that has to live in your own body every single day. You have to live with you. Yeah. And so if you have that power and you have that choice to make those decisions, have your choice.
I appreciate you saying that because I hear that a lot, the self-advocacy, how important it is.
Yes.
Now, I was born like this, so it was more of my parents at the time that had to advocate for me. But I've learned through people like you how important it is to say, hey, this hurts, this is this, and maybe even through your prosthetic journey.
Yes.
Where you're talking, this needs to fit better. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. So I know a lot of people don't know how to advocate for themselves when they're getting their prosthesis fit. Because honestly, it's not a simple thing. Yeah. I had no clue. My best friend in the entire world, she told me it was okay if I say her name, but Lori Vickers, she is my very, 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 very favorite person. I actually called her when I found out my leg was getting amputated, because she's actually an amputee. She lost her leg several years ago, and I called her up and said, "Hey, Lori, guess what? We're twinsies now." And but she had scared me at first, to be honest with you. She had said, "Oh yeah, when you get your prosthetic, you're gonna have to, you have to work for the blisters and all this other kind of stuff." So I'm talking to my prosthesis going, "Am I going to have blisters and calluses?" And he goes, "Definitely not." He goes, "You want to avoid those types of things." And I also, never being fit with a prosthetic, you actually think it's going to be a very easy process. It's going to be very quick. Okay, wham, bam, here you go. And you got your leg. No. It's going to take probably a total of a year in order for it to work the way you want it to work. This is leg number, let's see. So I had my first test leg, then my second test leg, then my carbon fiber, and I've lost so much volume so quickly because I'm so active that they had to put me in another test leg. I think between my carbon fiber and this one, I shrunk an inch.
Wow.
Around circumference. Sure. And also, for lengthwise. Okay. So I wasn't even fitting in my carbon fiber anymore. Wow. It was too tall. So the next process is that I'm still shrinking. Like right now, I'm in a 5-ply. And I know that I can probably put another 3 on. So,
and you just put that on a couple minutes ago.
I
saw,
yes. And so the next step is what they're planning on doing is, we're looking at feet. We're trying to decide, do we want the carbon fiber? Do we want the fiberglass? I think we're going to go with the carbon fiber. But they're making a really cool one for me. So because I keep shrinking and I shrink more, the more active I am, the carbon fiber, they're going to put a plate here, and a plate in the back with dials on it. So all I have to do is if I'm hiking and it feels loose, tick, 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 and it just kind of, and then they're doing a double system for me. So you have a couple different systems. You have a, almost like a sucker type of system, on there. And then you also have a pin system. And because I'm active, they're going to do the 2 systems together.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I won't lose my leg,
Yeah. While you're going out doing your videos, which I'd like to talk about that because you have a channel that you started within the last few months that's getting very popular. Yes. I want to make sure that people know where to find you as far as that. So
awesome.
Where's that at?
It's Carrie Bono. So CarrieBono, one word, at Where Did My Foot Go? And Where Did My Foot Go has 2 different meanings. Like 1, I lost my foot. And 2, where is our foot taking us this week? Yeah. And so
Arizona. Yes,
exactly. Exactly. So every Monday, we put on a new episode, and I want to let everybody know that it's not just for amputees. It's not just for people that are going through something. You can be a regular everyday person and just need that voice of encouragement telling you can do.
Yes. You
can do anything that you put your mind to. You just have to get out of your own way to do it.
Very well said. And I think too, even with the self-advocacy, it's really important. Like I didn't have to do that in my amputee journey, but certainly through my cancer journey. And I know that you've had other health-related journeys that you have gone through. Do you want to speak to that at all?
So when I had my surgery on my leg, when I did have my leg, I ended up gaining a ton of weight from, because I couldn't move. I was in so much pain. Sure. So I advocated for myself and got gastric bypass surgery because I wasn't losing the weight, and I couldn't get up to exercise. I couldn't even walk. That ended up opening up a whole bunch of doors for me. I was diabetic at the time. I'm no longer diabetic.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Type 2. And then I lost the weight. And I think honestly that if I had the weight, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. I wouldn't be able to, do the things I'm at right now. So I'm just very blessed that I was able to speak up for myself.
And what you're doing now is amazing, especially on your videos. I'm a subscriber. I highly recommend everyone out there subscribing you're very active when
Yes.
you're out there. So talk about some of the things you've been doing in your videos.
Oh man. Okay. So, of course, the very first ones were on my crutches, but I was showing people that on your crutches, you can still go do things. We were still out riding our car, going, because we live, like you said, we live in Utah.
Yes.
We live in southern Utah, so we're over by Sand Hollow. And so, yeah, we take our Can-Am out. We'll go have a blast and go do something. So, yeah, I have the funniest story. You're going to love this one. So we were trying to figure out, because we would bring my crutches everywhere, because, at the time I didn't have a leg to walk on. I only had a foot, not another one. And so we have a 2-seater Can-Am, and we were trying to figure out how we were going to get the crutches on there and everything. So one of my episodes, I'm driving to the top of the world. And I was super excited because I'm going 40, I'm thinking 40 miles an hour. This feels like we're going 100 miles an hour and I'm going through the dirt. I was like super stoked on myself. So we get up there and the crutches were doing great. We have like this cool trunk on our thing, and my husband had like singed everything to it. Well, I was exhausted. So my husband decides that he's going to drive back. And he's a lot faster than me. He's a lot better driver than I am. And so we're driving along, and all of a sudden we hear this clunk, clunk. And I look over and I go, "Oh crap, Mike, did you break the car?" And he goes, "Oh crap, I think I broke the car." And so he takes his helmet off. He looks around and he goes, "Well, babe, it wasn't the car that I broke. We broke the crutch. The crutch fell off. We rolled over it." Yeah, so we have like this broken crutch. Yeah, so we had to go to Walmart and hurry up and find a new pair of crutches real quick. But yeah, so we've done those types of things. And then it's been nice since I've had my leg. We have been able to do a lot more. I think all of them. I like all of my videos. But I think the one that I actually liked the best was the one that we did at Gunlock Falls, because it showed people that I struggle too. And that's the one thing I want to remind everybody about is that even though I'm out there and I'm doing these hikes and everything, I struggle just like everybody else, but I don't let it stop me. I don't sit there and go, "Oh, well, that hurt. Well, I'm going to quit." No, if it hurts, you just, you know what? You shake it off. Because you're not hurting yourself. You're not doing anything to hurt yourself. Shake it off. Get yourself together and finish. Because then if you can finish it, you can say, "Guess what? I did that."
And it feels good.
It feels so good. I did it.
That's fantastic.
I had my cheerleaders with me. I had people watching. I had my physical therapist, which he's been great. Had him. I had my husband with me. But, I did it.
That's great.
Yeah.
And when you're telling that story, the crutches story, a couple of times I looked up. Mike is behind the scenes here. What does it mean? How was the family able to help you through this? Mike was great driving you out here, and I know you have a daughter as well.
So it has been amazing. It's been, I think at first it was really challenging for him. Because he wants to sit back and he wants to say, "Hey, babe, I want you to do this, 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 this." And I have to look at him. I have to say, "Honey, stop. I'm going to get this. I want you to be there support for me, but let me figure out my way." And he honestly, the last couple ones that we've done, he'll start saying something. He goes, "No, you've got to figure this out for yourself." And he's done that. And he's been there as support.
Yeah.
He is like, I know he's there for me if I need help. Like there's we went on a hike into Zion and there was a water crossing, and I went over my first water crossing. Nice. It was super exciting.
That's awesome.
And he knew I was going to need his help. So he looked at me and he goes, "Hand." I said, "Hold on." He was there. He knew exactly when I needed him, and he helped me across. But he doesn't tell me how to do things. He just is there for encouragement.
Yeah.
And he's my cheerleader.
And that's a tough thing, because when you see someone else that are your loved one, let's say, and they're trying to get to a new plateau,
yes.
Sometimes you do want to help them get there.
You
but
do.
Sometimes the most important thing is to let people do that themselves, I would imagine. It sounds like that's part of the story.
It is. And and that's And that's something for everybody to understand is that, nobody can figure out this new life for you. Your old life, your new life, no one can figure that out for you. You have to figure out where you fit in. I mean, because this whole thing is new.
Yeah.
But I'm figuring me out.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that I have really realized who I am. Like I had said before, that my life has all led up to this point. Everything that I've done in my life has led up to this point of where I'm at now. It's given me the strength. And like I said, this is a very godly thing. Very quickly, where we're living now, is it this, like, people ask, why did you end up there? Because we lived in Oceanside, in San Diego by the beach. We had a great time there. We had a great life. We'd lived there for years. And somebody asked me, how did you get here? And I said, God led me here. This was our move, everything. Mm-hmm. And I think, honestly, everything that we've done has been because of this. When my second surgery had happened, we actually had asked them to remove my leg. We said because it was so, and the insurance company said no. It was because it was fixable. It was something that they could fix. So there was no need to amputate.
How did you navigate that? Did you have to argue, for lack of a better term, with the insurance company, or
I was told no. I was told absolutely not. There's nothing, your leg is viable. I had been actually given a misdiagnosis as well. So they had tried to say, because the physical therapist broke the leg, and they knew the physical therapist had broken the leg, they actually had to, what is the name of it? They said that I had like a degenerative issue with being diabetic. I forget the name of the term that they had used, but they said that I had this Charcot. They said I had Charcot foot.
Okay.
And because I had a couple injuries, like years before I broke my arch, I was out skateboarding and I fell. And, I did the same break that it's Josephine's fracture. It's where your arch folds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I fell back on my arch. Yeah.
Ow.
I was thumbs up. And so,
one.
Yeah, exactly. One thumb up. And so we had advocated then as well, and they had said no. So when we got here to Utah and this happened, and there was no arguing. The doctors I had were amazing. Great. And they listened. For the first time in my life, they listened. The nurses were amazing. I mean, we ended up being in the best hospital ever, with, honestly, the state has the best VA care you could ever imagine. I have had nothing but people supporting me my entire journey.
That's fantastic.
It's been great. It's been great.
You had mentioned VA when we were having our pre-conversation a little earlier. Are there tips, tricks? I don't know. I want to be respectful how I ask the question, but things you can talk about as far as navigating that system that may help someone like you?
I think that, honestly, with the VA system, because you don't have the insurance issues that you would have when you're with a regular insurance company, because the insurance company can tell you yes, no, blah, blah, blah. With the VA, I think that the veterans have more of a choice of things that they're able to do. So I know a lot of the times, and I almost did it myself, when I saw the podiatrist and he had told me that, I almost was like, okay, that's what you're going to do. Because, that's like the dad up there telling you, this is what you have to do. And then that's when I'm like, wait a second, I don't have to do that. I can
self-advocacy.
Exactly. So I think with the VA, you have to speak for yourself. You have to tell them how you're feeling. Like with the prosthesis, I have to tell them, hey, when I'm walking, this feels off. This doesn't feel right. You have to be able to navigate that for yourself. And so with the VA system, the same thing. You have to say, hey, this isn't okay with me. What can we figure out something different? And it is hard with the VA system though too, because it really honestly depends on where you're at. So,
Interesting.
I went to the VA system in California, in La Jolla. Honestly, I wasn't super impressed. I was just a number. And it was just, so here it's clinics. And I just feel like they listen better. And I know, with my job, I know that I have a lot of veterans that come in, that I talk to a lot of veterans, and they have told me that there are people that go out of state. They'll come here just to use the VA system here.
Really?
Because it's, or not
In
here,
Utah.
in Utah, because it's so awesome.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
And during that conversation, when you were talking about the VA, you were also talking about you're going from, you're going to have to explain the leg part, the 2 to a 4. So as people are going through their own journey,
Yes.
maybe something very similar to what you have going, what is that prosthetic journey and what do these numbers mean?
Okay, so you have your 1, 2, 3, 4. You actually have 5. So it's F1 through F5. And your F5 is going to be your highest rated one. And it's actually not really a foot. It's more of that running, that
Like a
blade
Okay.
that kind of bounces them to help you. Because that's what I have found out that's really cool is that however your foot is built is going to give you mobility. It's going to give you energy.
Okay.
So if you put that down, you're going to get the energy back that you put into it. So it's like a return energy type of thing. So right now, because it is my first leg, it's an F2.
Okay.
So at F2, it's not the greatest. Like I can't move, like my foot, so my ankle will move back and forth.
Okay.
So if I stand,
Thank you for showing me this.
I can actually, so see how my ankles?
Yeah.
I have my foot down flat and I can move this back and forth.
Yes.
I don't have much of range of motion this way.
Okay.
If you see it, that's about it.
Okay.
Okay. The F2 that I have, it is a fiberglass and it has like a padding in the back of the foot here.
Okay.
That's supposed to help. It's like a cushion type of thing. So I go to Freedom Prosthetics, which they are absolutely amazing. And so the owner, Peter, he comes in and he goes, well, I'm so glad the VA told you that you're getting an F4 because you need it. The F2, you've demolished it. He said, it is broken. It's broken. So I will be getting an F4. The VA system has been absolutely amazing with the whole thing.
That's great to hear.
I love it. I've done 2 Zoom calls with them so far. And they're so curious to find out, hey, have you gotten your leg yet? Have you gotten this yet? So what they're doing is they're giving me 2 legs. I get one for my everyday leg and I get an activities leg because way back when I played roller derby, I played roller derby, I snowboard.
No, continue. I'm kidding. We're just having fun.
It's awesome. I snowboard. I do all that kind of stuff. And so when they heard all the things I can do, they're like, oh man, we got to get you so you can go live your life again. So what they're actually doing is they're putting me for next winter, because obviously this winter wasn't going to be a no-go. Yeah. They're sending me to a ski resort that's in between St. George and Salt Lake City with an amputee, similar to me, to reteach me how to snowboard with my new leg.
Wow.
I'm so stoked.
Yeah.
I'm already planning on starting. I want to start a roller skating club.
Very nice.
Where I live, because there's a lot of like really cool, asphalted trails and stuff like that. I don't want to play derby by any means. I'm a groomer by trade, so I don't want to break these.
Yes.
That's my money makers.
Yes.
So I'm going to start a skating club. Nice. And have just, because honestly, skating is awesome. It taught me, I think that's a lot where I've learned how to be this leader is by playing roller derby.
Really?
I learned my girl power. I learned the power through me, my mindset, my body, my brain. Yeah.
And it's interesting you bring that up because when you're talking about your life and how everything led up to this point.
Yes.
You're at this point, but yes. This is just the start of the point you're going toward. So what is the future? What are you looking, you described some of it. What else are you looking forward to in the future?
Well, what I I'm looking forward to the future. Like I said, having my grandkids and being able to keep up with them and have fun, which is really cool. So there's a little bit off that real quickly is I love the fact that my grandkids aren't going to remember me with 2 legs. So it's never going to be a problem for them to see this and to see somebody else. They're going to be so accepting of amputees, people in wheelchairs, any of that, because they grew up with that. That is super cool to me, that I'm not going to be, because honestly, I've gotten a few people just, of course, they don't want to say anything. They're just kind of like, look at you. And I think sometimes it's more bothersome when they just like kind of look at you and don't say anything.
Yeah.
But what I'm excited about for my future is that this new role that I've taken, I would love to be able to go out and speak and be inspirational and be able to help anybody that wants to listen. That's what I feel that is my calling. I feel that that's why God has put all of this in place. The reason and there is a reason I started this channel. We started January 1st. We kicked off on January 1st. I was in the hospital, and my best friend had invited me to an amputee group online. And I'm reading through this stuff. I'm reading through all of these messages that people are leaving on Facebook, And this guy comes out, and he had been a diabetic, and they had taken bits and pieces from his leg. They had taken bits and pieces. And he puts this question out there, and he says, guys, he goes, I really want to have my leg amputated. He's like, I'm in so much pain every day. How do I get my wife on board? Oh my God, I was floored. Yeah. I was like, get your wife on board. And I actually wrote that on there. I'm like, this has nothing to do with your wife. This is about you. This is about how you can make your life better. Because I can't think about how I can make my husband's life better. Okay? Only he can make his life better. But what I can do is I can make my life better so that we have a good life together.
That's a great way to put it. Yes.
Exactly. So it's about me. Yes. And I hate to say it that way, but it is about me. Yeah. It's about what is going to benefit me. Because what benefits me, if I'm in a happier place, well, geez, my husband's in a happier place too.
I agree. That's a very good way to put it.
Right. So that's when I decided. I was like, it just was like this epiphany that came in my head. And I was like, I need to speak. Yes. I need to talk about these things that everybody's too scared to talk about. Yeah. And that's when I just kind of was like, wow. And then I told my husband, I said, all I want in life is for that one person. And again, you don't have to be an amputee. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be someone going through something. You can be just a normal person and just need that word of encouragement. Yes. And I said, if I can be there to help that one person that's sitting there. Yes. That's waiting.
Yeah. To hear you.
To hear that story.
Yes.
Waiting for that encouragement. What if they're sitting there and they're contemplating suicide or there's something, and that one person hears me and decides, I'm ready to make my life good. I'm ready. I want to do this. Then I've won.
Yes.
I've won 1,000 times.
I agree.
And that's why I've been put here. That's why.
I think you've already done that, as I said earlier. I know there's people you've already impacted in a very positive way. So congratulations on that. And I look forward to you continuing doing what you're doing. I'm a little curious.
Yes.
When that person made that post, I think it was on Facebook, you said.
Yes.
And I think you said that you posted your response.
Yes.
What? How was that taken from him? Did he respond or?
He didn't respond, but I had quite a few hearts and likes on that of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see that because what you were saying, I was glad you went in the direction of where my mind went. you yourself are happy, then everyone around you is going
Yes.
to be happier. And that's a very important message.
It is, because, you can't fix somebody. You can only fix yourself.
Yes.
And the only way you just can't, just like if you have somebody who's an alcoholic, you cannot make anybody stop drinking. They have to want it.
Yes.
They have to take that step. And the only thing you can do is just be encouragement on the side.
Yes.
And that's all. And you can just be there for support. But you cannot actually physically change anybody. The only person you can change is you.
Yes.
And if you can make that change in your life, then it just is this domino effect. And the people around you, the closest people to you around you, they'll start feeling it. And then all of a sudden that energy goes from you to that other person, to the next person, next person, next person, next person. And next thing you know, that you've changed a whole bunch of people because you changed you.
Yes.
Yes.
As we finish up here, I do have a question.
Yes.
You've said so much already, and I think some of these answers already came out. I appreciate your time, first of all.
Thank you.
I'm just enjoying the heck out of this. If you wanted to give maybe one or two pointers for somebody that's going through what you're going through, what are the things that really come to mind? It's like, boy, I wish I would have known this, or hey, here's a pretty important step in this whole process that I'd like to share with others. Is there anything that comes to mind? And sorry to put you on the spot.
No. That's fine. No, that's fine. I think that, okay, so just off my own experiences, of course, when I was trying to decide on my foot, I think this is super important. When I was trying to decide on my foot, on which kind of foot I wanted to use, whether it be fiberglass, carbon fiber, because you hear all this other stuff.
Yeah.
I told Michael, I said, okay, I can ask anybody that has two legs, my prosthesis, I can ask any of my doctors. Unless you've been physically in that situation, you're not going to know. You can only go off the data, what you see or what people tell you. So I actually went on the amputee group and I actually posted the question.
Okay.
Because I wanted to hear from somebody that actually is going through what I am going through. And I think that that's my point, is that you can ask a million people a million things, but unless you're actually in that situation, there's really no way to answer that question.
Wow.
Like explaining phantom pain. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, like I can sit here and I can yell at my leg a million times and say, hello, there's no foot there. You shouldn't be feeling that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But yeah, it's unless you're actually in that position, you can't, you know what I mean? You have to ask the people that can help you the most with those decisions. And your key is knowledge. Your key is always going to be knowledge. Knowing what you're speaking about, knowing what you're looking up, and again, that goes back to asking people. Yeah. So I think that, and I know it kind of sounds weird because I'm saying I do all these things and I do it on my own and but at the same time, you have to understand that you need to also rely on that support.
Yeah. Who was the person you had mentioned earlier that helped you early on? Another person that missing part of her leg that came
Lori.
Lori.
Yeah.
What was her last name again?
Lori Vickers.
Vickers.
Yep. She actually lives in Julian. She lives in Julian up in California. And I have known this young lady since, it was it was actually before I even had my daughter. So I was 18, 19 years old when I met her.
Really?
Yep. We've known each other that long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lori, for allowing you to share her name.
Yes.
And speaking of names, you had mentioned Mike earlier. We had been talking. But as soon as you said Michael, as somebody named Mike, I thought he was in trouble. I'm just going to say that right now.
I know, because you get the three names like, Michael. Yeah.
Like my wife will call me Mikey. My mom used to call me Michael, especially when I was in trouble. And, this is funny. So.
I call him everything, even names that he doesn't want.
Again, he's standing right here. Thank you for being so patient. This has been great. I've taken a lot of your time today. You drove probably, 6 and a half hours?
I can't
thank
and we
you enough.
stayed, honestly, in the crappiest hotel ever. I think my husband stayed up all night long going, oh God, there's crack addicts out there.
Yeah, not a very good.
It was kind of a seedy hotel.
Well, I should have probably done a little bit more navigating for you to help you get to the right place.
It's totally fine.
No, it's all good. But I mean, I can't tell you how much it means to me for you to come here and be on this podcast. I'm serious. It's so heartfelt to, it just, to your point about what you want to do as you continue forward. I didn't know what I was doing when I was doing this podcast. And for someone actually, now that I'm like, gosh, I don't know, 50 episodes in and people are wanting to come on, it means so much to me. And for you to come here to my house and be on this, it's something I don't know how I'll ever be able to repay you. And I just thank you so much.
There's no repayment. This alone is just, it's getting my name and my show out there. Yes. And that's all the repayment ever. And the cool thing is that you and I and Mike, my husband, we're always going to be friends.
Yeah, I can tell that right away.
We're always going to be friends.
Yes.
And that's awesome.
There's nothing better than this.
Exactly.
And you invited us up to your place, and I say up because we're in Arizona and you're in Utah. We're going to take you up on that. I hope you don't mind.
No, we want you.
I can't wait to see.
Yeah, and hopefully by then we'll have more toys to play with, and so we'll have more fun, like jet skis. And I know, we're not rich by any means. We work very hard for a living.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So, but we would love to have you guys.
And the last thing I want to say is, what is your channel one more time? I just want to make sure people can know where to find you.
No problem. It's Carrie Bono again. It's CarrieBono, one word, at Where Did My Foot Go? Our logo is amazing. It's an orange logo with a cactus with a flying foot. One of our very good friends actually made the logo for us. Fantastic. I invite you guys all to come and join us on our trips, on our journeys, because they are so much fun.
And this is a YouTube channel, correct?
Yes, it is.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on. If you don't mind shaking my left hand.
Thank you so much.